Many thanks for staying with Daybreak. We are talking about the digital space versus reality. Of course, looking at the many opportunities that lie within this digital space, as well as the abuse of it as well, the mental repercussions, which is what we were last speaking about with Philip right here in studio. And Faith, why is social media so alluring? The need for the retweets, the likes and the shares from social media. The fact that, like you said, you cannot go on holiday and not have your phone with you. You cannot sit with your family for dinner and not have your phone with you. The constant checking up on what people are doing and where that is living as a society mentally.
And it's sad, you know. I think it makes me reflect on the family setting to start with. You know, our parents spending time with these kids, you know, so maybe I'm so idle, so I just get onto social media and I'll learn from the parents that I find on social media, so to speak. So if the people I've grown up seeing posting become my advisors and the people who I talk to, even though they talk to me and I don't talk back, that becomes my conversation, that becomes my reality. So tomorrow when I go on holiday, my only first instinct is to take pictures and post them on social media because that's what I know. So we don't get to even enjoy experiences as individuals because we are not used to it. You know, check when you sit at a restaurant the next time, whether it's a couple or a family, everyone is on their phones. So people don't care about relationships anymore. And we were not created that way. Like when God was putting us together, he didn't have that in mind. And so what happens is that we end up being lonely. And then tomorrow, I'm like, I need attention. I'm not getting it maybe from my mom and dad because they are, you know, out there working and trying to build this nation, getting me to this education that, you know, they think that that's what I really need. And so I'm lonely and I get onto social media and I'm like, gosh, no one has liked my post. So let me come up with something that will make people like my post. So I'll be like, oh, I just slit my wrist, or I just broke up with this person. And like Philip said, you know, once you open that door, like to your bedroom or to your life, there's no way of closing it. And so tomorrow, if I've talked about breaking up with this person, I need to feed this social media audience with something else. And at some point, it drains me, it eats at me, and then even though I was not susceptible to mental illness, then I start having those sort of issues. And I think, Lillian, these are things we need to talk about in the corporate workplace. Do we have work-life balance? You know, for me, even though I have a crazy job, am I taking time when I get home with my children? And for kids, it's not quality time, like we say. It has to be quantity time. Am I asking these questions? What are these kids doing? You know, am I monitoring their phones? Am I monitoring their computers? Just a quick story. I know of someone who, during COVID, you know how kids were doing their online studies? And she's like, this child of mine, you know, they're so focused. Nowadays, they're always on their laptop doing school. When they were able to analyze, the child had gotten into porn sites, you know. But are we able to find this out? Because half the time, you know, we are busy doing all these things. And I dare say this again, then we are not parenting our kids, but social media is doing that, or whoever is on that social media platform. And that has to change. We need to make time for our families. Let 8 to 5 be 8 to 5, and let's come home to our children. Let's go back to where moms made breakfast for our families and had conversations with our kids, and where, you know, dads came home, you know, because there's no newspaper anymore, it's our phones. And I'm just scrolling half the time, yeah? You're not even doing anything important. Let's have a basket at the door entrance and we throw in our phones and we walk in and we spend time with our children. And even as I say this, it's challenging myself, you know, so maybe it should just be a hashtag basket at the door challenge where we leave our phones there and we're able to be present. And have these structures that we want, we can build them with our families. We don't have to wait for the government. Yeah.
Can too much social media, Nelly, affect real-life relationships and the ripple effect in terms of productivity, in terms of growth, in terms of exploring opportunities? Your thoughts?
I think too much of anything is not good for you. So ultimately, there always has to be a limit to what you're experiencing. But I think also technology gives you both sides of the spectrum. You can get the greatest things out of technology and you can get the worst of it. So back to what both Philip and Faith have said, it's our value system. It's the way we are educating our people, our youth. And you know, as us right now, we have parents who are young kids, but the people who are struggling right now are not young kids, they're youth. They're in their 30s, they're in their late 20s. You know, they're people who are grown. But I think the way technology has developed in the most recent years, let's even say the last 10 years, it's been so fast that we've been figuring it out as we go. And a lot of us are figuring it out in the right way. A lot of us are figuring it out, you know, in the opposite way. So then that creates a challenge for individuals to decide what they want to do for themselves, or they're being left to figure it out for themselves because their parents are not going to come and tell them, no, don't do this, don't have all this screen time, don't go to these sites, or ensure that they have this kind of security because they're already grown, they're in their 20s, they're in their 30s. It has to be a personal decision. And there's a lot you can gain out of social media when it comes to, you know, bettering your life and your future. You've got channels and platforms that give you access to opportunities, give you access to people, mentors. You know, 10 years ago, finding a mentor would mean that you have to have a connection to someone. But right now, you get onto LinkedIn and you have an opportunity to reach out to just anyone in your connection and tell them, I'm looking for a mentor. You know, it creates an opportunity for you to find mentors, not necessarily even within your region, but you can find someone very specific, maybe in your area of interest, at a certain level, working in a certain business in a different country where technology is, you know, heavily adapted compared to here. There's opportunities to connect on other platforms to get a lot more. So when you think of even Brighter Monday gives you opportunity to find jobs, you know, that's a local site.
And I love that you're talking about this, because I think the challenge lies in the fact that a lot of the Kenyans on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you know, name it, are not aware that this information is actually out there. The mentorship is not there. And so you're talking about these things, but a lot of these young people, and even people above 35, really do not know where to start.
Well, I want to say that I think even the good platforms, quote unquote, are at fault because we're not popularizing what already exists. There's let me not say an assumption, but there's, you know, there's the way the adoption of a product just plays out on its own. And there's only so much marketing you can do. Sometimes you need the story to come from those who've experienced it. So I feel that also where people are spending their time then determines what they get exposed to. It's the same way you're told, you are your friends. So I feel that there's an opportunity for people to be experiencing different spaces, and that way then they learn what else is out there. Because if you don't experience Snapchat, then you don't know what you have, what you can get out of it. If you don't experience, what's the word? Twitter, you don't know what's there. But I feel that, I think because of the more popular platforms, there's an attraction to it that then you find people are more comfortable just joining what they already know, what is very popular. They don't get to find out about the other platforms that are not as popular. When you think about Harvard have been offering a lot of free learning courses over the last 2 years, mostly because of COVID, mostly to African countries, because they understand that we're a little bit challenged in terms of financing some of these, you know, courses. This exists, but if you're not looking for it, or if you're not trying to experience different spaces, you won't get exposed to it, or you won't discover it. So I feel that there's also a challenge to be given to all these young people to experience something different, look for something different. But there's also a challenge to, you know, the louder voices to go out there and say, okay, fine, there's this platform that offers this, there's this platform that offers this. Let's stop sharing memes on, you know, KRA, and let's share links to, you know, Harvard free courses, you know, your Oxford free courses, you know, your learning courses available on LinkedIn. There's all these other platforms that are giving so much more value, but we're kind of muted because it doesn't excite as much as a funny meme excites. As
the noise.
Yes.
We are taking your tweets and we're going to take the conversation forward right from that point by Nelly. Let's hear what you're saying. Let's take a look. Okay, there we go. Engineer Lazaro, you're saying digital platform created good space for doing business online, working online, and even reaching friends abroad. We can't just focus on the negative part only. Njanga Wakungu, you're saying, Philip Ogola, I don't think that it's time to say many youth are making money online, yet the youth are over 75% unemployed. We ensure that the areas that are creating opportunities should be made accessible to encourage youth to create more employment. I'll allow Philip to respond to that. Do we have another one? Okay, Mutava Japheth, online shopping gives a better room for window shopping, but cons take advantage of it. This is very true. Gishik Kenya, you're saying online shopping will be fueled by consumer changing their buying patterns of brands, products, or items. Okay, GPZO_254, you're saying we can't tax social fake life. Same people they go tax on social, got jobs and are taxed. Time to speak and stand out. There is a gap between the youth and the elderly. There is need for youth representation in parliament. Okay, you said a lot of things here. There's tax, there's representation in parliament, but we hear you. Okay, Philip, so somebody is putting you on blast saying that there's absolutely no way that, you know, you're saying that the youth, I mean, there's a lot of employment, there's a lot of opportunities, but he's saying that 75% of the youth remain unemployed.
You know, I just want to echo what Nelly has spoken earlier. Who are your friends online, and which platform what kind of information do you consume? So you find bulk of the youth will spend 90% of their time complaining about there are no jobs. And exactly, there are no jobs. So we have an opportunity, a digital space where now we can tap in. You don't need a degree for you to actually post online. You just need talent and a voice. So we find there are so many youths right now who are actually making money from the digital space. It didn't cost much. You don't need an investment. Just need to have a phone. So I think it's time we need to challenge ourselves. We have opportunities not only in Kenya, Pan-Africa and the globe. I can give an example. Right now, I'm actually doing my cybersecurity. I'm doing a degree in artificial sorry, I do stammer. Intelligence. All this I actually got online. And I got through the spaces I'm actually in, where you actually get challenged by people who are not even in Kenya. They tell you to actually do more. So I think the youth need to find it right now that just posting alone on social media does not cut it. You must also do stuff actually offline. You must study, you must actually improve your experience. But what I'm seeing here, and I think which needs to be addressed, we are focusing so much on the digital space, but you're not having structures. So this generation, especially the Gen Z generation, they are growing up on the digital space. They're learning to do things at their 20s. They're learning to make money at their 20s. It's a shortcut. In life, there can't be shortcuts. It's going to come up. So you find they're putting so much of their lives online, but they're therefore getting the structures in place. So we find this catches up with them. And we see youths getting jobs through social media, but when they go offline, they actually get fired because those habits which they actually had online. And some of these things, like I said, Muli, we don't have structures in our families. So for me, that youth is saying that there are no jobs. For me, let's put politicians away from this equation. Let's put the government away from these equations. There are no jobs. You have a space. You can start speaking and speaking. For the last 11 years, I've been paid from the digital space. I've formed a brand. I've formed an NGO from the digital space. So for me, I want to challenge the youth. The jobs are not there. The future of jobs are actually virtual. And COVID has told us that we can work from home. Just need to invest in a digital space. Go on TikTok, go on Facebook, go on. Do your craft. Somebody will notice you.
Faith, same way as COVID has taught us that we can shop right from the comfort of our homes. In terms of online shopping, there's a tweet there who's talking about, you know, cons, and that is true. There's a lot of fake. I have 5 different Facebook pages. I have no idea who these people are. And a lot of my colleagues as well. I mean, we keep posting and saying, that's not my page. And people are actually making money off us. So in terms of the cons and in terms of the buying behavior as well, the tweet there saying it's dependent on, of course, consumer behavior. A lot of people right now feel that they're not as leveraged as they were before financially. However, the bars are full. The wines and spirits are all over. There's online shops. People are delivering wine and alcohol to homes. So in terms of spending habits, I just want us to touch on the online buying and the fact that, of course, there's concerns around the cons and as well as in terms of affordability of people to actually be able to go onto these sites and actually purchase stuff.
And I think, Lillian, I'll handle that in 3 parts. So the first part is that Kenyans are high spenders, but probably spend on debt. Yeah, and we've seen, you know, without mentioning, you know, like different companies, we've seen even just the financials the other day of how much people are borrowing per day, per second on digital spaces. So this thing of buy now and pay later is a reality. You know, I was previously a banker. It's unbelievable what people take loans for in this country. I'll take loans to furnish my house. I'll take loans to buy clothes. I'll take loans to even buy depreciating assets like cars. But if you really think in the true aspect of how, you know, financial literacy should be, or how we should manage money and aspects like that, we shouldn't take loans for this sort of things, you know. And maybe I shouldn't be saying this for the sake of banks, but really, Kenyans maybe perhaps need to learn to save more than use that money. And that's why on one end, we're saying there are no jobs, and in the other end, we're saying bars are full. You know, maybe I've borrowed on the various digital platforms there are nowadays to be able to have that drink, to be able to have that nice car. And when you check in the real aspects of things, maybe I can't even afford the lifestyle I'm living. Look at the middle class people. You know, these people are getting onto social spaces and buying things every day. You know, I'm buying shoes I can't afford. You know, I'm, you know, like just living, you know, beyond my means. And that's why perhaps even the fast food restaurants will still make money, and the bars, because of this middle class segment. And I think it's a call for all of us to go back and reflect, you know, how much do I make? What sort of house should I live in? You know, should I be taking this loan? And those sort of things are critical things for us to think about. Yes, I know right now Kenya is a blue ocean where it comes to digital lending because of how much people borrow in this country. And I know it's business and people are making money from it, but I think we should worry about that. As we worry about how 2022 will look in terms of mental illness, let's think about how that will look for, you know, in terms of how auctioneers will be coming to take the seats off my house and to take my car because I'm not living within my means, you know. And I think it's things we need to talk about. Am I saving so that if I lose my job today, I have enough money for the next 6 months? Am I setting up different hustles so that if I don't have a job tomorrow, I know someone asked they won't have a job in the next few years because of, you know, social media being the way to pay and all that. And I think it's important questions we need to ask.
And I want to tweak the comment here from this Trip who said that there's a seismic shift happening in the banking space. Paying bills, making payments, or even banking is possible right within one's social media page, or even right from the comfort of your home. So in line with what you're saying in terms of financial literacy, it makes it kind of difficult, a tad bit difficult to control your spending when it's been made so easy to just go online the minute you see that nice white pair of jeans and you have access to your phone and internet. Those jeans are yours.
No, and I agree, but I think how do I explain it? I think we need to structure ourselves and make it commonplace to talk about these things. You know, are we talking about self-control, for lack of a better word? You know, are we talking about, you know, the boundaries of what you can buy and how and when? Are we teaching this to our kids or to our teenagers, you know? Do we have enough consultants or organizations out there that are telling Faith, who perhaps is in debt that I can't even think straight, how to get out of that debt? You know, there's this guy, he's in the States, it's called Dave Ramsey, and he has helped so many Americans get out of debt. And that wave is moving on to Africa, but perhaps we need our own sort of Dave Ramsey, because some of the things that he talks about maybe perhaps don't like fully like work for the Kenyan setting, but we can make our own Dave Ramsey and ask questions of, you know, how much debt are you in? How do you get out of that debt? You know, are you, he talks about how, you know, you shouldn't buy what you can't afford and what that means. And maybe it's conversations we need to have in TV stations like this, in radio stations, you know, on our social media platforms. I bet you would get a big following if you solve that, you know, sort of thing for many Kenyans. And I think in line with that, let's also ask questions of, tomorrow if I don't have a job, then what? You know, and so, and the reality is here. You know, robotics is becoming a reality. You know, he talked about AI, and what that means is that tomorrow some of the jobs, like if we think about finance, you know, some of those things, once automated with some ERP system, then we don't need a human being behind that desk. If you think about, you know, like banks and tellers and things like that, in no time, all these things will be digital. And I think COVID started that off. Then maybe where I have 10 people, I just need one person. You know, perhaps we even even just tick a box. And I know there's somewhere online where you can go and ask, will my job be relevant in the next 5 years? And it gives you a list of, different jobs and whether they're relevant. And let's ask those questions. So how am I saving in case I lose a job? How am I preparing myself for even retirement? I was telling someone the other day, our parents retired when they were like 65, 55. I scaringly say this, I think that age is going to come lower. And soon, these young people, listen to his son teaching him something at 9 years old. Tomorrow, a 20-year-old will be a CEO, if it's not happening already. So that means at 40, then I'll be retiring. And so we need to talk about this thing. So what does that mean? And this 40-year-old, are they ready? Or does it mean you retire and then depression and then that's it? So let's make these conversations a reality. And I think churches should talk about these things because so many people are going to these churches, and government should set up forums where people can sit and talk about these things. And I think therein even lies opportunity for this 40-year-old who retires to come up with ways, to just make money even off these sort of discussions, and then it becomes opportunity.
Nelly, a lot of people are very interested in the opportunities, the formal opportunities that lie within this digital space, and how we can change the narrative. Yes, there's a lot of positives right here within the digital space, but a lot of the noise is clouding that, and a lot of people are not looking for the relevant information that they can get off of these platforms. So I just want us to speak into mentoring this generation that is growing up in a digital space that perhaps has no LinkedIn information, has absolutely no idea how to tap into Harvard, like you mentioned, and the opportunities that lie there, and what the first step ideally would be, how to listen and how to siphon the unnecessary, or even just, create a positive balance where, yes, there is the fun times, but then again, you're also looking for opportunities within the space.
All right. I think we all need to have some fun, but at the same time, we need to focus on what's important. So if we're looking for opportunities, you want to create your space where you've got your key platforms that you engage with for your fun and for relaxation or connecting with friends, but then there's the other platforms that you connect with when you're looking to empower yourself, upgrade yourself or upskill or build yourself. And there are different types of platforms. So you can start local and look at what are those local sites that are used by local businesses to put up jobs. What are they sharing in terms of blogs and content around employment and the employment ecosystem in your, space, in your country. So that's like one way you would go, or a step in the right direction. Further to that, we do have social media platforms that allow you to bring your professional self, the strongest one in this case being LinkedIn. And LinkedIn has created a space not just for you to put out you're looking for a job, but also to engage with future employers or to create a network of friends in a community where they will actually tell you when the opportunities, or they might be able to actually reach out to you because now they know you exist. So it's not just about where the opportunity is being put out, but at the same time, are you putting yourself in the space where you're likely to be seen as a potential candidate to fill a role, to fill a position, to execute a certain skill? There's a lot of mentors, not just on LinkedIn, but on different platforms. There's a lot of other platforms that are also creating small communities of mentors. There are associations that are creating groups like, say, for example, Women in Boards, that empowers women who are looking to grow into board positions. There's a lot of such small groups and communities that do have a presence online that enable you to have a space where you're engaging with prospective opportunities and prospective situations that create opportunities for you. I like LinkedIn because LinkedIn takes advantage of what we all like about social media. So that's, a lot of content, the opportunity to show off. But in this case, LinkedIn allows you to show off your professional self. It allows you to connect with a community and build your own community. And this community is different because a community of people you work with, the people you've done business with, the people you look forward to working with, and the people you want to learn with. But further to this, there's also other layers of tools that have been built into the LinkedIn platform that enables a person who's looking to build themselves, upskill themselves, find other opportunities, the opportunity to do so. So you've got LinkedIn Learning, where there's some training material. You've got LinkedIn Recruiter, where you can actually sign up for alerts on particular jobs. You've got different features around how you create your profile. You can say, you know, I might be employed, but I do offer consulting services on 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, I am looking for guidance or assistance in getting into, you know, the Tanzanian market because I am great in PR, but I feel like maybe I'm not being able to tap into opportunities here. So there's opportunities to put that out there on the platform. And someone from Tanzania will be matched with your question in the same industry, and they will be able to respond to you. So there's tools out there, there's platforms out there that will generate value for you from a professional perspective. And yes, we do not focus on that a lot, but I think it should be an individual challenge to create these two ecosystems to enable you grow 100%. Because if you're only growing in your social connections, then your professional connections are falling behind. If you're only growing in your professional connections, then your social connections are going down, and you're a full person. So you want to kind of put that all together to be able to move further ahead.
Thanks, well said. We're still taking your tweets, and I'd like you to engage with us on this topic. Very interesting perspectives from our panelists right here in studio. The hashtag is Daybreak at Citizen TV Kenya. Please keep those tweets coming. Formal opportunities, Philip, and the fact that the younger demographic, that tweet there that has complained that there are no jobs, is not putting themselves out there, is not looking for these opportunities right within this space, but is more concerned about the latest gutter and the latest breaking story. Gossip really sells, and a lot of people are consuming a lot of non-value adding content online, as opposed to what Nelly has just highlighted there. I think youth lack access to information. The information is there, but it's how to actually tap on it. I think we are focused on so much on light-up conversations, gossip, here, sports, but we forget to actually personal development. In life, you must have goals. In life, you must balance on how you can work professionally, personally, and even as family-wise. We lack those structures. And I'll give a perfect example of Digital Humanitarian, which is an organization, a startup which I started. I started 11 years ago, just with a tweet. And right now, we're about to launch globally in 19 countries. I've met people I've never met before in my life, and I met them through the digital spaces. So at times, we, the youth, have to go beyond our scope. Like, I've done stuff for government. I don't know if you knew that Digital Humanitarian have supported this government, where during the COVID pandemic last year, we managed the digital space. And right now we are talking about working with the East African community in 6 countries. We are looking at having Pan-African conversations. We are looking at having global conversations. As Digital Humanitarian, I've won a presidential head of state commendation for the COVID storytelling on social media. I've won a global UN social good ambassadorship for telling stories on social media. And these are things which I would not have managed if I didn't go above and beyond. So I want to challenge the youth, by the way. You may have passion, I mean, for certain, if it's music, if it's art, go beyond, perform beyond. And right now, Lillian, there's a new platform which youth are not tapping in. There's a new audio social platform called Twitter Spaces. There's Clubhouse. These are spaces where you can actually meet and just have a conversations. And through those spaces for the last 6 months, I've interacted with global audience. You've got to understand South African markets, so West African market, East African market, global market, Kenyans in the diaspora. And Kenyans in the diaspora are these intellectuals who will actually guide you and mentor you. And I've got mentors from top tech guys on Twitter, top tech guys on these global techs. I've got access to when these apps are being demoed globally, you actually get invited. So I want to challenge the youth that move beyond your scope. Try and tap on new market. If you cannot be a comedian here, can you perform in a different market? Can you just go above and beyond? So just challenge the youth. Use social media to not only build yourself, but think of it as a legacy that you're leaving behind. The headline in one of our dailies today is "It's Our Time, Rise of the Youth." They have big dreams of leadership, and there's at least 10 of them here who are vying for key positions in next year's polls. And of course, the headline very, very clearly says that during the last elections, the younger aspirants did not do as well. I would imagine that these young aspirants will use the digital space, Twitter, Instagram, what have you, to really reach out to the electorate and to their peers. However, they haven't done well previously. The younger aspirants haven't done, and it's not that they haven't been there. We've seen a couple that are 35 years, 32, 35, below 40. They haven't done as well. So to you, Faith, in terms of course, first of all, a lot of them did not register to vote. Let's begin there. And therefore, they've already cancelled their chances at casting their vote, casting their ballot. So in terms of the opportunities that lie within the digital space for these young aspirants who are now looking at 2022 and hoping to clinch two of them want to run for president, Dorothy Nyangori, Brian Oluoch Awonda. The rest are going for governor, senator, big positions. Governor, I see a lot of governor, a lot of senator, and two ambitiously going for president. How can they use this space to rally those that actually registered to vote to give them these votes?
I like that question because I think more than anybody else, the youth understand these digital spaces, and I guess with the right tools can be able to use it to, accelerate what they need to do, like for politics and aspects like that. And I think more than ever before, the people who've gone before these young people should take up these people and mentor them. I think the saddest thing is that a lot of these young people don't have mentors. And sadly, the older people don't mentor as much anymore. We should go back to our Kenyan culture, where we'd sit around this old person and learn from them. And I think half the issues we're seeing with the young people is because they don't have anyone to look up to. And maybe the people who've made it don't give authentic stories. So we think, success comes in a microwave sort of way, or success comes by doing some things under the table. And I think anyone who's perhaps retired as a politician should take up these people and mentor them and guide them. Then these young people can be able to get onto these social spaces and give authentic stories. And
interestingly, it is the young people who run the pages of
most of
the more experienced politicians. Yes.
You're right. And so being able to use what we already have as young people, they should get onto these digital spaces and now rally these other young people by giving authentic stories. Emotion always sells. It's just that sadly we want to sell fake emotion. But these young people going out there and saying, I want to be governor because of this, this, and this. And young people, you understand these are the issues we're going through. XYZ would probably propel them forward. It's a difficult path, but sometimes the difficult path is the best path to take, and we should be able to do that. And perhaps to encourage these young people that to keep doing it despite the negativity that surrounds it. Like Twitter has the heavy trolls, guys who will speak all these negative things and tell these guys, you have no money or whatever, to just also encourage Kenyans to practice positivity. And if, we say hurt people. So if you're hurt and have issues, deal with them on the side, but let's support these young people. They might be the change that we want to see in this country. And for these young people, in case they're even listening, to just go ahead, use each and every platform. There's no one who's better placed to use their platform to advance their, campaigns, so to speak, than them, because they have the skill, they have the experience, and they have that energy, and make use, whether it's TikTok or Clubhouse, like you mentioned, or WhatsApp. Majority of these older guys, like you said, will get a young person to do it. So you as the young person, just go for it and put that out there, and we'll support you on this other end as well.
Right. We're taking your tweets now. We want to take your feedback as we start to close the conversation. We're going to be doing that very shortly. But as we do that, just a reminder, we've been talking about social media, of course, having the potential to be extremely addictive. We've been looking at issues around whether we should be concerned about how much time people spend online. While there are pros, there are also cons, and those are the issues we've been talking about. We've also been talking to you about how you can see seek formal opportunities right within these digital spaces, and how you can best put yourself out there in terms of your visibility, in terms of your expertise, and in terms of your potential as well. Just looking at why social media is so alluring, why the need for the retweets, the likes, and the shares from social media, why this need for validation, and of course looking at the economical perspective of things in terms of people that are actually ripping big right within this platform. We're going to be taking your closing remarks, gentlemen and ladies, as we close our conversation this morning. Giving too much information on social media, you know, exposing strangers to who you are, what your life is all about. The repercussions of that could be positive, could be negative. I want to get your closing remarks, Nelly, as we close. It's been, of course, a very general conversation. We've looked at the dark side of things, the positive side of things. But what's your parting shot as we close our conversation this morning?
My parting shot would be for anyone who is, whether you've already been on digital or you're just kind of getting the hang of it or learning how to use it, you're a whole person. It's everything you put in at some point will all come together to either empower you or to take away from you. So as you're building your online persona, you need to think about who do you want the final product to be or to look like. So if you want to share, you know, your private stuff, keep in mind that that will still come and affect something a few years to come. If you want to put out your professional life, that will definitely impact your future. So as you build your online presence and your online brand, remember that whatever you're building now, it's like a child you're bringing up. It's this whole person that exists online. You know, we've got the metaverse that's coming up, whereby now we'll be able to engage in 3D environments across the world. Remember that that whole persona will be carried to all these spaces. So you want to think about that very seriously, so that every time you're putting something out, ensure that it's something that's going to benefit you, not just now, but in the long term.
And that's Nelly Ndonya, Regional Manager, Client Relations, Turn Left Media. Many thanks for that, Nelly. Faith, to you as we close.
I think, Lillian, I watched a video the other day that just changed my perspective, and it was talking about doing it now. And I guess that would be my parting shot. You know, if you need to start a business on the side and get it onto the digital space, don't wait for next year. You know, the time is now. And to simple things of, like, if you want to lose weight, lose it now. If you feel you've not been a present parent at home, and you know, we've talked about it here, and it's scary what tomorrow could look like if we don't change certain things now. So let's do that now. And if you're that young person with great aspirations and don't even know where to start, just start. You know, sometimes you just need to start, and you learn things along the way. If you feel your job is, you know, about to get done because of these new technologies, maybe learn these new technologies, then you'll still be aligned with the job space and aspects like that. But generally, just do it now. You know, don't wait for tomorrow to change how your family looks like. Don't wait for tomorrow to change this country. Don't wait for tomorrow to come up with solutions that will change this world. You know, get your profile on LinkedIn, then you get that job in Europe or the States, you know, because it's a global space. So let's take advantage of this digital space to get to where we want to be, to share that positive story. Just do it now. Do it afraid, do it shaking, do it with fear, but do it now.
Many thanks for that. Faith Nkatha is the country manager at Cellulant. Very, very, very happy to have had you on the show. And Philip, how can we control social media use? How can we stop misleading and instead be constructive, and at the end of the day, get value add?
I think with my parting shot will be, you are what you post, and you are who you follow. And when you see something online and you keep quiet, you're part of the problem. And when you're part of this story and you keep quiet, you're also part of the problem. And I think the digital space has given us an opportunity where we can learn and unlearn from each other, where we can just listen. And the digital space, and like the new generation, they don't listen to us by listening. They listen to us by observation. And this is something I've learned from my son. He listens to me by observation. He picks stuff which I've, so the energy I show to him is actually the energy he picks up. So you as a brand, you as a government, you as an organization, what kind of energy are you sharing? What vibrational energy? And I will always say go with the emotions, and the next currency probably 2022 will be emotions. If I look at your post, does it have emotions? Does it have emotional hook? You just can't be throwing down something without emotions. I think COVID has shown us that we must now be human. We must be real. We must remember that, hey, if I do this post, what about the doctor? How will he feel? What about the nurse? What about the patient? Before you do a post, just think of a 360 ecosystem on how you can actually affect someone. Remember, your post can inspire someone or can trigger someone. And also, if you're a youth out there, don't restrict yourself to just one platform. Be out there. Try Tanzania, try East Africa, try global. There's so many opportunities for mentorship. There's so many opportunities for scholarship. People are looking for just influencers. So be out there. And if you're probably a government, the UN, the NGO, learn to listen to this young generation. These are the future leaders. Let's get to learn from them because they're smarter than us. They have grown up in this digital. And Lillian, one thing I really need to put across is the Gen Z is the future. They see things we don't see. They've actually immersed themselves in this digital world. So how about we give an opportunity? When you're talking about products, can we get it from a youth angle? Like, look at the school fires. It's all mental. So the moment we discover the role of social media in mental health, that's the time we actually have solutions. I think the focus should be on mental health and the role digital plays. If we can crack that and ensuring we have frameworks to actually guide us. Social media is a very powerful tool to not only talk about Kenya, Africa, and actually put us out.
And interestingly, as we close, you said you had to detox. You had to take a sabbatical off this space. I left my phone at my friend's house yesterday and I was in complete panic mode. And so it's something that we all need to normalize. Just keep that phone away. So how has that been for you? Detox for how long?
I took like a 6 months detox. I just went to the States, flashed my phone, flashed my laptop.
So and yet this is what you live off.
Yes. So I just met new people, met new friends, and it really helped me grow in terms of mentally. And one thing I'll also advise, please let's normalize going for therapy, and let's normalize managing our screen time. Because the more we are online, the more we actually get absorbed. So right now I can stay with my phone without a week, and I've normalized bonding with my family.
Great.
That's a moment which I really treasure right now.
I love it. Many thanks. That is Philip Ogola, digital humanitarian. I've been joined by Nelly Ndonye this morning of Turn Left Media, Faith Nkatha, country manager, Cellulant, and Philip Ogola, who is a digital humanitarian. I thank you so much for your time this morning. We are not done yet. I'm going to be handing over to Willis Reburu and DJ T-Boy as we continue with Daybreak. Keep tweeting, continue engaging with us on the show. My name is Lillian Muli. Thanks for watching.